This is Pastor Al once again with a video about the inner person. This is episode number 3, and this particular episode is titled, What You Feelin'. Episode number 2 was about what you thinking, had to deal with the mind. Episode number 3 has to deal with the emotions. And keep in mind that the first episode we talked about the mind, and we talked about how the 5 senses feeds the mind into the inner person, into the soul. But along with the mind, within the soul, are emotions and also the will. And so this episode has to do with the emotions. Now, it's interesting, at the very front of this video, you will see that I have a circle broken up into 3 sections: body, soul, and spirit. And it pretty much explains as to who we are. We're a triune being, body, soul, and spirit is what God has given to us. And it's very important that we understand these parts about us and how we relate to God through these 3 parts. And so be sure to look at the circle that I have at the very front of this video. Now, we're going to talk about what you're feeling, and that has to do with the emotions. And it really controls our life to a certain degree. The mind kicks in the emotions. As a matter of fact, I had an example of that today. This morning, my wife was doing some laundry in the washing machine, and something happened with the washing machine. She said, "Oh no," and it wasn't spinning like it should be. And immediately what I heard, and then what I went in to see, it affected my emotions. And then I got upset. And in my mind, I was thinking about, I've got to call out the repairman. Don't know how much this is going to cost. Have to go down and do the laundry down at the laundromat. And so just an example, we live this day in and day out. Now, the thing of it is, when it comes to the emotions, that God deals with us all differently when you think about it. Now, you have a certain personality and a certain temperament, and yours is probably different than mine. Maybe personality A, B, C. We talked about this last time, and what you're thinking. Now we're talking about what you're feeling. And next week, the next episode is going to be about how you deciding, how you making decisions. And so our personality enters into how God works within our life in the inner person. And our temperaments also, whether sanguine or choleric, phlegmatic, or you might be melancholy. And so God works with us all differently, and that is true when it comes to our feelings. Now, when you think about character, personality, temperament, and character are 3 concepts that are used to talk about different ways of thinking and feeling, okay? The situation I told you about the laundromat and about the washing machine, you may have dealt with it totally different because of your personality and your temperament. But when it comes to feelings, we have, all of us have feelings, and sometimes it might be we feel inferior to other people. Let me just give you a few of them. Insecurity, I'm just insecure, I'm an insecure person. It goes through our minds, goes through our feelings. Inadequacy, and sometimes there's guilt, whether it's real or false. That there's worry and doubts and fears that go through our lives. And as we deal with these things, and sometimes it starts when we're children, and we carry it on up through our teen years and into adulthood. But the output of feelings is important because it's responding to the input of the 5 senses into the mind, and the mind begins to think and conjure up different ideas about what's happening, whether it's real or not real, and then the feelings kick in, and the feelings oftentimes we ventilate them outwardly through hostility. And that hostility falls upon people that usually we love the most. but for some reason, if it's anger, it just comes out upon other people. Or, on the other hand, sometimes we don't ventilate outwardly, we do so inwardly, and then we beat up on ourselves. We take it out on ourselves. And so distress of unchecked feelings are just so important. For instance, that we deal with feelings, and some of them are good feelings that we have. They're not just all bad. We have sometimes depression. Some of you may have experienced that before. I certainly have. Anxiety, anger, and sometimes there's sadness, loneliness, grief, heartache, gloom, worry, doubt. And I'm just giving you a few of the feelings that we have. How you feel it, what you're thinking, how you feeling. But there's also feelings of gladness and enjoyment and excitement and happiness and being calm and contentment. And so, our feelings go from one side to another side. Hey, you experience this day in and day out. There may have been something just today that has upset you and has triggered something inside you. And so I think the point that I want to give you is the fact that we need to understand how these feelings can be controlled. In just a few weeks, I'm going to be talking about the Holy Spirit energizing our spirit. Now, we've been talking about the soul in that circle. We haven't been talking about the body, except for the senses. Talking about the soul, which consists of the mind, the emotions, and the will. And then in just a few weeks, I'll be talking about the spirit. And that's where the Holy Spirit comes and dwells with us. And we'll be talking about how the Holy Spirit can help us in controlling the feelings. Now, here's the thing. You've heard it say, just trust your feelings. Just go with your feelings. Well, they can be trusted, okay? And our feelings are about like the sand on the beach. The waves come up and move them around. People kick the sand. The wind blows the sand. You never know where that one little piece of sand is going to be on the beach. And our feelings are about the same way. They just move about, float here. They're very liquid, and they are very fluid. And so you cannot trust our feelings. And the Bible talks about that. Let me give you just a few scriptures in closing this segment here. Proverbs 3:5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding." Now, that's something we need to listen to, because our feelings get involved in that. We can't trust them. Trust in the Lord. Trust with all your heart. Trust in Him. Proverbs 28:6 says, "He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered." Proverbs 28:26. Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, and who can know it?" And the feelings is all part of that heart, the emotions, and it's desperately wicked above all things. And Psalms chapter 7, verse 9, "Let the evil within wicked people come to an end, but make the righteous person secure, O righteous God, who examines thoughts and emotions." And so God's involved in our thoughts and emotions. You can't go over here and hide them and say, "Well, God's not seeing this." Because Psalm 7:9 says, "O righteous God, who examines thoughts and emotions." And Proverbs 14:30, "A calm and peaceful and tranquil heart is life, and healeth to the body. But passion and envy are like rottenness to the bone." We should not just overlook these verses. They mean a lot. Listen to what Proverbs 14:30 says, and I'm reading it from the Amplified Version. "A calm and peaceful and tranquil heart is life, and health to the body." A lot of psychosomatics takes place in our life where we have these illnesses of the body because of what we're thinking and the emotions in the mind. Passion and envy are like rottenness to the bones. And so I just want you to think about what we've been talking about. What you feeling? What you feeling? You know, it was Elijah that had just called fire down from heaven. I love this story. Has so much of life in it. Great example of what you and I experience. And Jezebel sends a note to him. And what he hears is that she's going to take care of him and she's going to kill him. And when he heard that, he was scared. And it affected his emotions. And you find that he is sitting under the juniper tree. And there he is wanting to die. And the emotions, he said, I'm no better than my fathers. He had doubt about himself. And so he just seemed like he was coming apart. This is Elijah. So we have these experiences. You have them. I have them. But the more we learn about our inner person is what this series is about. This has to do with the feelings. We've been talking about the thinking. We've been talking about how the mind is fed from the outside, from the culture. And then eventually we're going to talk about how the mind can be fed from the Spirit, our spirit, by the Holy Spirit of God. And so this is a very important series. And if we understand how God has put us together and how He works in our life, and it would help us to find this calmness in our life. Yeah, the emotions are still going to take place. The anger's going to be there, the anxiety, but now we know how to deal with it. We bring God into the equation. Oh man, it makes life so interesting. It makes life so more enjoyable. So stick with me on this video series. This is episode number 3. And we talked about the mind, and we've talked about what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and then we're going to talk about how you're deciding, because both of these, your mind and how the emotions are working in life, will determine the choices that you make, the decisions that you make. And so it's important to learn this lesson. Hey, episode number 3, be sure to look at the circle at the front of this video and kind of study it just a little bit, okay? I'm just going to sit back and take it easy because I want you to be blessed with these videos. God bless you.